G77 and China summit concluded this Saturday in Havana. We go to the summit's venue with our colleague Gladys Quesada for the last inputs on this paramount event for the Global South.
And the G77 and China summit is concluding in Havana, is coming to an end, and also is wrapping up these 2 days of debates, these 2 days of remarks and also of opinions, and 2 days that the Global South tried to find common solutions and a common ground to go to a better future and to change the current geopolitical situation. During these 2 days, Havana received 1,300 participants from all over the world, and that's to say 33 countries from Latin America sent their high-level delegations, 45 from Africa, 34 from Asia, and 3 from Europe. In this occasion, all these countries and high-level delegations attended the summit and offered their remarks. It's important to say that the main topic of the summit, science, technology and innovation, was addressed from the point of view of each one of the delegations and each one of the countries. And they offered their opinions and they offered their possible solutions to the liabilities that the Global South is facing. One of the main topics was unity, was solidarity and cooperation, and to enhance the South-South cooperation and also the comparative advantages of every country as a way to not only thrive in prosperity from finance and money, but also to find prosperity in themselves and in the resources. Also, one of the main topics was the protection of the environment and how the Global South has to create their own strategies to cope with the environmental crisis, as the Global North is imposing always their hegemony in this matter, and the Global South takes the highest toll and the heaviest burden in the climate crisis and environmental crisis situation. Also, and this meeting was strategic and was one of the main events of the year, as the group was, the last meeting of the group was 23 years ago in Havana and the other one 18 years ago in Qatar. So this one is a strategic one as it comes ahead of the January 2024 summit in Kampala, Uganda, as Uganda is going to hold the pro-tempore presidency for 2024, and also it comes prior, or it falls in line before the summit of the UN that is going to take place in late September, and the summit of the high officials of the G77 to be held from September 18th. Those summits are going to assess the situation of the global geopolitics, the geopolitics landscape, but also the G77 Ministers Summit is going to assess the accords, the agreements of this summit, and how they could get into motion and into action. Also, this, as many of the high top officials have said, was a summit of austerity, was a summit of humbleness for Cuba, as the island is facing a hard economic situation after the passage of Cyclone Ian last year, and during the heavy sanctions, 60 years of blockade and sanctions imposed by the U.S. The island is making an effort and is offering this humble summit without luxuries, without expenses, and just gathering the Global South for the good of the peoples. Also, one of the main concerns of all the participants was the famine, the increase of deforestation and other environmental crises made by the hand of the men. And also they were talking about how to propel, how to enhance, how to get into action the 2030 agenda and how to achieve all the goals that were the guidelines of this meeting and of other gatherings of international community. So the members had one common claim, and it was the lifting of the sanctions and the lifting of the blockade against Venezuela, against Cuba and other countries that are carrying this heavy burden. And also they were gathering and saying that it's paramount to send the condolences and to send their sympathies to the victims of the earthquake and the flooding in Morocco and Libya. Those were the main points of these 2 days. Let's recall that Africa had a paramount participation. It is a stronghold of the Global South, and also because Africa is going to hold the pro-tempore presidency in Uganda next year. Also, One of the main claims was to close the gender gap in the access to science, technology, innovation, and education, and to educate the children and the future problems, and to give them the tools to face the liabilities that we are creating today, but they can solve tomorrow. That was one of the premises of this summit, and that's one of the outcomes of the summit. This is a wrap-up. Those 2 days were of debates, were of opinions, and were of big requests and claims. Also, as we know, this summit shows the prestige that Cuba has at the global level, that Cuba shows in the diplomatic area, and the respect that Cuba holds in the international arena as the main host of this summit, and Havana being the capital of the global south on September 15th and September 16th. That's all on the summit. That's all for today on the second and final day of the G77 and China summit. Thanks to you, and back to you.
Thank you, Gladys, for the latest inputs on the Paramount Summit that was held today and yesterday here in Havana.